Hello and welcome back to the Geek Cabal channel. This is Cabal Whisperings podcast. What episode are we on?
17, I believe.
17, we believe. And this will probably be our last one before Christmas, and hopefully we do get one out before New Year's as well. So with that being said, we want to make sure we wish everyone here a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa,
I don't know of any others, so
whatever other holiday you celebrate. We want to make sure we include all of you on here. And today's date is the 17th of December, 2023. So,
the time of recording, 8 days till Christmas.
Yes.
Yep.
Math. So, I know I just realized we started recording, didn't even go over the topics of the agenda, but you know what? Let's let it fly. Just let it go. We're going to go. As far as channel news goes, subscriber counts holding steady. I think we're just gradually stepping up.
Yeah, we've gotten a couple new subscribers. Gotten some comments, a lot of views on your guys' Godzilla video, which if you folks haven't checked it out, Jim and Owen do an excellent job in the review. Got some comments here shortly about that, because I finally also saw the movie.
I noticed that the analytics on that video were very interesting, because, for a 30-minute video, you tend to think that a lot of people are going to, listen to a little bit of it and shut it off. And the fact, I think we're at 64% or past the 30-minute mark. So it's very interesting to dig into.
I was looking at different analytics. I didn't check that one just yet.
Yeah.
I'll tell you about the different analytics when we get to the books. I did talk to one of the gentlemen who comments on all of our videos. He is actually he's planning on going to watch it based purely on the strength of your guys' review. So,
yeah. And as you'll see, it's good for some, not for all, but, I think me and Owen were just blown away by it. I think you were more just like, hey, it was good.
No, I think it was good. We'll get to it. We'll get to my thoughts here in a moment. I do think it's a good movie. It's not this isn't one of those, oh man, these two are on crack or something. No, it's a good movie. It's worth watching. I'm not trying to say it's not. I just have a few comments. So we got that. The latest BattleTech book review I put up, the author of the novel commented on. So I guess if you guys want to ask him anything, or your comments down there. So I'm already on to the second book that he has written in that particular series. I'm about 30 pages into it already. It's pretty good so far also. So he definitely, just in these 30 pages, he has completely turned around a character that I thought was basically a waste of space in other novels. Now I'm actually interested to see where he goes with him. So, good on him for that. We didn't do a whole lot of other videos lately, so I think that's the main thing since last time. I did record some of the videos, but I'm not too keen on how they all turned out. So I'll be re-recording those. Maybe. They're probably going to be a computer screen while I'm talking to a microphone kind of videos, because they need visual aids, I realized. So we'll see. But yeah, other than that, we are slowly climbing. We are pretty firmly above the 300 mark at this point. We're like 311, I think, when I checked earlier today. So
yeah, it's just this time of year, it's really hard to get time to sit around and do recordings, because you got Christmas parties, and like I said, yesterday was a surprise Christmas party that we went to. So yeah, just getting time and stuff set up for all of that.
So yeah, I think that's pretty much it on well, I will throw out, I have mentioned that we are looking into newsletters, things like that. That is all going to wait till after the new year, because I want to make sure we actually have time to do it, not say we actually have time to get it started, but then we hit 2 weeks of nothing because of the holidays. I don't want to do that. So it's going to be a little bit after the New Year's before we actually officially get all that going. So we'll have to see, where that leads. But hopefully by the next podcast, I'll have some definitive stuff to talk about. At the very least, I'll be able to say, hey, you might be listening to this someplace other than YouTube now. So, because I think I've got that about figured out.
Yeah, one other thing with this podcast, at least the people that visually watch it, I switched a few things around because of our camera difficulties last time. Got a little bit more stable tripod to put the camera on, so hopefully Catzilla doesn't knock it over. He's down there patiently waiting for the moment to strike.
Yes, for those of you who only heard or didn't watch all the way through the last one, like the last 10 minutes are worth a watch. Just fast forward to it if you don't want to sit through the rest. Just
Yes.
it's,
Uh, yeah, Godzilla came through destroying the camera equipment. Um, and also trying a different camera angle to see if it, put up the camera a little bit higher. See, see if it looks any better on, when it's all said and done. But, anyways, I mean, besides that, I think that's all I've got for channel news.
Owen, anything?
Hmm.
He's like, go watch my book review.
Yes, Owen does have a very good book review comparison between the Hunt for Red October book and film.
It only took me a couple months, but I finally got it pumped out.
Yeah, it would probably have been better if we did it about the same time we watched the movie and read the book. But I still think he had a very good, comprehensive list, and
I got a good memory when I went to.
most kids do.
Well, I know the feeling, Owen. Like, I can't remember the names of some of my coworkers, but I'm also reading War and Peace and haven't touched it in 8 years and know exactly where I am in the book. So, which is important because it's like 1,200 and some odd pages. My copy could probably stop a low caliber bullet.
Not a Desert Eagle, though.
No, that's not a low caliber.
I know.
Something like a 22 or something probably.
Well, there's a YouTube group that tried to use I think it was just a dictionary
It was a phone book.
or something, yeah, to stop a Desert Eagle.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect it to
Oh, it didn't.
because
And she's now facing charges, we'll just say, for the unintentional unaliving of a person.
Manslaughter.
oh well, yeah. See,
Man's laughter, you mean?
you don't do it like that. Like you put an inanimate object behind it, not a person.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, because Desert Eagle's variable caliber. You
yeah.
can change it, but all of them are big. It's either like a 45 or a 50, and I don't remember what the third one is off the top of my head, but yeah, they're not low caliber
No,
bullets.
no, no.
So yeah, if that's it for channel news, we'll go on to movies. Well, I guess I'll just go ahead and jump into the Godzilla thing first.
Yeah, because I mean we've talked about it already. So, what was your initial? What were your
Well,
takeaways?
like I said, I very much enjoyed the movie. I don't think it's the best movie I've seen this year, but it's definitely on the upper end. It's definitely worth a watch. I thought Oppenheimer was a better movie, but that's just me. Um, so
This is the result of Oppenheimer.
I know this is basically like a sequel if you think about it. Uh, no, no real complaints. I mean, it's a longer movie, but it doesn't feel like it's a super long movie. Um, Really, it's just a matter of just that Oppenheimer was a better movie. There's not like there's a huge flaw in this one or anything that I saw. I do think I know why the budget was so low. Which, first of all, I think it's probably the 30 and not the 15 million, if I had to guess. I'm sure part of it is just the cost of making a movie in Japan versus Hollywood. I'm sure that's a big part of it. But also, some of the effects, I think I'd have to watch it again, but I was trying to pay attention while also just taking in the movie. But I think they possibly reused like the walking sequence from a distance when he's in the city and when he's in the countryside because his gait's nearly identical, and the fact that his arms are so small means they basically don't move. So that's one less thing you have to animate. The same with his head. And once he gets up close, the scales look kind of funky sometimes. So I think they did it primarily with, like I said, I think they reused that, and I think they did a lot of far away shots. Now, there's also all the shots where he's like definitely in motion trying to swat the plane, and those all look good. So I think they like saved the money for those kind of shots. And also, like when he's attacking the city, you see the tanks in front of the building. Like that's actually really bad CGI, but that's fine because in the old movies they're nothing but models anyway. So I was like, this is almost potentially just an homage to that.
Yeah. But what did you think about the his nuclear breath or the
Yeah,
atomic breath?
like they definitely like spent the money on the charge up sequence because that looked excellent, and then the effect, and even there, you save money by you show parts of it, but once it starts to interact with the people, you cut away to just those two, and then really just him and her getting blown away. The rest of it's all just in your head. But it still looked excellent, and like the initial shot when he destroys the battleship from below, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, overall, I really liked the movie. Didn't mind the fact it was subtitled. Um, Although, like I pointed out to Sarah, like the credits are a complete waste because unless you read Japanese, like, and I told her I was like, here's where they save money right here. They didn't even translate the credits. Uh,
I definitely think it's a movie that would probably, in time if they went and did an English dub. Now the problem is I think you lose some of the passion of the actors
well,
in the
I get what you're saying, and I've always heard that with anime, but with a good dub, you don't.
yeah,
Like, especially since they have it and they could show the people, like, here's the scene, so they could read the emotion, and then,
yeah.
you know. And plus, with the money it's made, they have the money to make a dub now, like,
Yeah.
for sure. So, uh, then, like I said, I overall, I really enjoyed the movie.
Did you think the people side of it was pretty good too? I thought the PTSD was done really well.
I thought that was, and there was something I noticed that really surprised me, that in character they were actually very critical of the Japanese war effort in World War II, and that's not something you see a whole lot of because to use two examples, Japan and Germany, they kind of went different ways with how they handle World War II. Germany's like gone off the deep end of never again, and like they like constantly like basically internally berate themselves to make sure they never become the
Yeah.
evil Germans again. The Japanese, as I understand it, are a lot more like shit happens kind of approach to it. Like they don't like go to great lengths to be like, yes, those things we did were evil. They're just like, it was war. So the fact that they were very critical in the movie, a movie made in Japan about Japan, very critical of the war effort, and like how they had to go to the kamikaze attacks because they didn't have weapons, because their planes were didn't have ejecting seats and all these other things. And at the end, they were just kind of like, all right, guys, well, good luck. When they came home.
Well, did you notice when they were looking at the prototype plane or the uh, anything when they were showing into the cockpit?
I saw what I think you were talking about. The thing on the seat.
Yeah.
That looked like it's in German.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm relatively certain that's a German plane.
Yeah. Well, as soon as I saw that, I reached out. I said they're going to say that that's the ejector seat in German or something to that effect.
Yeah. Oh, the moment it cut away, I knew he was telling him that was the ejector seat. Because I was like, this guy's had some kind of hey, this guy's willing to lay it all on the line. He doesn't have to. He's proven himself. He doesn't have to kill himself doing this. You know, so he's telling him. Honestly, I thought that the pull lever was going to be the ejector seat. He was just, because I just figured the bombs are just going to be armed.
I did like the and obviously you saw the end credit scene on that, right? Or kind of the ending.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I wonder if that's supposed to then roll into the 1955.
I kind of wondered about that. It's been a long time since I've seen that one, so I don't know.
I did like though the beginning when they were trailing the mines behind their ship, and then finally got one into his mouth and
Yeah,
exploded half his face off.
yeah, yeah. And kind of back on the effects talk. I thought smaller Godzilla, from an effects standpoint, actually looked better than bigger Godzilla. Because smaller Godzilla looked a lot more like an actual living creature.
Yeah, well, I think
Although it had the advantage of being completely at night. So
and
the old effects trick.
And see, in one of the original Godzilla movies, Godzilla was just a dinosaur that was like on some island. I don't think he was in the Bikini Atoll. I'm pretty sure people would have noticed a dinosaur, but I guess he also swam and ate things from the deep, so that would explain why he could have been. Speaking of the Bikini Atoll, I guess like when that detonation went off, like they were expecting like a way lower yield, and because originally they were like, well, this will be fine, like the people on these other surrounding islands, they'll be fine. The radiation won't be that big because we're expecting this yield. But then pretty much they contaminated the entirety of the area where they had to relocate people because of.
Yeah.
It was triple the expected yield.
Well, I also noticed that all that bit was all in English.
Yes. Yeah, there was no subtitles for that.
Where's the Japanese subtitles? Like, the home audience isn't going to know what the hell's happening here. But yeah, it's definitely worth a watch. I expect, at the very least on home video, it'll have a dub. If it doesn't re-release in theaters dubbed. because I mean it's making lots of it's making money. It's successful. They're wanting to expand it. So
Well, and the big one is that I think they're putting Hollywood on watch because they're like, look it, here's here's a budget that is way below anything Hollywood's putting out, and
and it's a foreign made movie.
well, it doesn't even matter. I mean, the point should be is that the $200 million budget should not be should not be a thing for half of these movies.
no,
Um, and I think to your point, like reshoots and stuff like that, Disney, Marvel, and all them do is to blame. But the thing is that they need to have a competent movie in the first place, and they won't have to do every single reshoot. I mean,
well, that's the problem is they're essentially attempting some variant of the Marvel method to write comics with movies, and you can't do that. Like you need to know what you're filming before you start filming.
yeah.
Not, well, we'll just make it up as we go. Like when you get so many special effects, you can't do that. I mean, if it were like a comedy, sure, that doesn't involve a bunch of special effects. But anyway, so moving on, there's a new trailer for Dune 2, which I think it said is going to come out in March. So I think we finally have a firm release date. The new trailer, did you see it by any chance? Focused an awful lot on Paul's relation with Chani, which, that is important for the book, but I'm really hoping that that's not like the entirety of the focus of the movie, because like there's a whole lot of other really important things, like defeating the Harkonnens and Paul becoming the Emperor. And spoiler alert for a book from I think the 70s, if I recall correctly, by the way, that already has 2 other adaptations.
How dare you?
Yeah.
Well, like I said, there's one movie that we would never spoil, and never spoil for Owen. And,
Ender's Game.
You got it.
Yeah.
Which you'll have to watch that sometime. That's a good movie. Good book too. If you read.
So along with that, the script for Dune Messiah is apparently almost complete, which that's the second book in the series. And I don't know, the guy who's made these other 2, he's going to be directing that one. I don't know if he plans on going beyond that. Because Dune Messiah, in a lot of ways, it doesn't completely wrap up Paul's storyline, but it comes really close. And it gets to, like, the other part of the story, which is that you really shouldn't put all your faith in, like, predestined heroes and the like. So... But I hope they get to at least Children of Dune, which is the 3rd book. It's really good. So hopefully they get there. Also, there's apparently a Beverly Hills Cop 4.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw the well, not the trailer, but I saw snippets of things in that.
Yeah, it's going to be for Netflix. It's going to come out next year, 2024. But there is a full trailer. I only caught it because it started up between 2 videos on YouTube. And I was like, Cop from Detroit? Like, I kind of heard a little bit of the beat. I was like, no, it can't be. And sure enough, it was. So
there's only 2 cops I know from Detroit.
Yeah. The other one doesn't quite have the same moves.
Yes, he's more robotic in nature.
Yeah,
almost like, or is like the knockoff toy. He is Robert Cop.
Robert Cop. Wow. So anyway, from the trailer, obviously Eddie Murphy's back, and I'm hoping that he's the one that has the main creative control here, because Coming to America 2 was pretty funny, and he has the main creative behind it. So I'm hoping that's the same case here. Judge Reinhold is back, and the other guy that plays Taggart, I don't know his name, but he's also back, which is surprising because I thought he was dead, but I guess he's not. So. However, like their boss, who I think was a lieutenant, he was the villain in RoboCop, in fact, and also Cohagen in Total Recall.
Yep.
I didn't see him in there anywhere, and I don't see him in the credits. He might actually be dead, but I don't know for sure. So we'll have to see that when it comes out on Netflix next year. So.
That's because when he fell out that window at OCP, his arms went like all elastic lawn, and
he turned into Mr. Fantastic momentarily, which didn't help him survive the fall, though. Also got kind of stretchy in Total Recall, if you think about it. At least his eyes did.
Yes, being exposed to the surface of Mars.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's all I got in movie news. You guys got anything?
No, we haven't. We don't watch movies.
No, I don't watch too many movies.
Yeah, like I say, the movies I have watched are not worth talking about. So
All right, fair enough.
it was girlfriend wanted to watch something that was Christmassy but not Christmassy, which meant just something with snow
Die
in it.
Hard 2.
No, something with snow. In the
Sorry, folks, you just opened a can next to the microphone.
cracking open a cold one.
That's the Coke.
I mean, I've watched a couple movies this year that he hasn't
Well, this
watched.
is the year-end video, I suppose. Go for it, Owen.
The Fun Nights at Freddy's movie was pretty good this year.
Yeah, I thought it was all right.
It definitely helps if you've played or at least seen the games before.
I got that impression because there were some things that happened. I was like, so this just kind of happened, huh? Okay, let's just roll with it.
But as from a movie about animatronics that are killing people, there wasn't really a whole lot of.
It was much more of a thriller than a horror movie.
Yeah, I'd go that far.
Which is fine. I mean, nothing wrong with that. I think sometimes the implications can be just as good as actually seeing the gore.
Oh no, there was some gore in the movie.
Did you see the bite of 87?
No, but somebody got chomped in half.
The what?
The bite of 87.
It's a lore thing.
No.
Supposedly, some kid got bit in 87, and that was either the first or second incident.
No. I'll explain it to you later. We just.
It's something. Anyways, it involved an animatronic biting someone. Technically, I think the first one was a little girl that got killed outside of the.
Never mind.
I was like, "Don't go into the lore." There's an entire YouTube channel dedicated to that, so I will not go into it.
Don't mention them.
I
will not. All right. Anyways.
All right. Well, if nothing else in movies, we can move on to books. I have finally finished reading all 5 of the BattleTech short stories that came in the 5 box sets. So, review incoming on those. And I'm on to, like I said, the next BattleTech book by the previous author that I did. So it's BattleTech Elements of Treason Opportunity is this one. And then a lot of insanity in the comic book world lately. A gentleman who owns a shop in, I believe, New Jersey, posted a video talking about basically the present ills of the comic book industry, and several people within the comic book industry who probably are approximately as talented as my pinky finger, yet somehow have jobs in a job that requires real talent, all like attacked him. Like, oh, what the hell are you talking about? The comics industry is just fine. It's like, well, no, by the numbers, it clearly is not fine. Like, stores are closing. People are not buying the crap these people are putting out because it's a bunch of self-insert baloney. And so, like, that's what he was trying to explain. Even your flagship titles aren't hitting what they were hitting 10 years ago. Forget 20 or 30 years ago. Now, if you're a comic pro, everything looks fine to you because you work for Marvel or DC, who are owned by much larger companies. You're doing just fine. The people who sell your books are not. And eventually that's going to be a problem because then no one's going to be selling your books. And then the two that own you are going to be like, hey guys, we can't help but notice you have like 0 sales. We've got a century of material to draw from. We don't need you anymore. That's what will happen.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, like comic book events would make the news at times. Like,
a few did, yeah.
Yeah, like the death of Superman was one that would actually make the news. And now, the only thing that I think that I've seen that's made the news recently is when I think it was Superman's Kid came out, was the latest one that I saw, and some of the backlash on that, and obviously people are like, well, that's because of it. It's like, well, no, because it's a story that it's fine if it's in the context of a book, but why is that what's making the news?
Well, it makes the news because people get pissed off and don't want it. And it's not, for some people, yes, it's because the character is gay. For others, it's because of what that really means. You see, excuse me, what ends up happening is, say you make this character gay or bisexual, which is basically a fancy way of saying gay in comics, because they'll be in one same-sex relationship and they will never ever go back to the other. That's just what happens. Um, and this is I'm talking about in comics. I'm not talking about real people here. So what ends up happening is uh, those characters are now part of the protected in group. Nothing bad can ever happen to them. And since nothing bad can ever happen to them, in a book about superheroics where you fight people, they're either never going to fight people or they're always going to very easily win. And every book's just going to turn into a soapbox preach fest, or it's just going to become about their relationships. No one wants to read about Superman's son's love life. They just don't. Or I'm sure someone out there does, but they're not enough people to keep a book afloat. It's like the Superman comic is not about Superman's relationship with Lois. That just happens to exist in there. It's about Superman being Superman. And that's the problem. Like this is the exact same thing that happened to Iceman. Like before Jean Grey decided to invade his mind and show him that he was gay, he he was a potential victim of any kind of calamity. Now, not. Now his character's boring and flat because nothing bad can ever happen to him. The whole source of drama is conflict. If nothing bad can happen to your characters, there's no conflict. Your book sucks, and that's what's happening slowly as they keep transforming characters that have existed for decades that we know damn good and well what their interests are. All of a sudden, just wake up one morning and oh, I'm into someone of the same sex now, and it's like, no, your writer is, and now you've become a self-insert until they destroy your book and move on to another one.
Yep.
And again, it's not that the character's gay. You can have gay characters. That's perfectly fine.
I mean, they've done it in the past, and I mean, it's always been that way, And I think of North Star.
Yeah, you got North Star. You got several. I'm sure you've got plenty of others. And the point is, you can have those characters. They just can't become a sacred cow that you can't ever injure in any way, shape, or form. Because then they're dull and uninteresting, and no one wants to read about them.
Is it
like they had to create a weakness for Superman because he was too boring. They did that for the radio show, by the way. For those of you who don't know, that's where Kryptonite comes from. It's not from the comics; it's from the radio show. But yeah, like characters have to be. You have to be able to attack them, and if you can't, you may as well just stop the book. You're done.
Yeah, well, then you have like the complete opposite, where like the Great Lakes Avengers, like they just their roster would change every week because it's like, hey, we got a new member, and they're dead.
Yeah.
Except for Mr. Immortal, who just kept coming back, and Owen, who will live till the end of time, till the end of everything, because he's the only true immortal character.
Who's that?
Mr. Immortal.
Oh. Pretty sure Apocalypse is essentially immortal. I know Selene is. But, yeah, so anyway. So, the reason this is kind of news is because the people that are attacking this guy, they didn't have the backup they normally have. And a lot of people are starting to be like, man, you guys are kind of assholes. Like, this is like a movie theater. This is like a movie studio attacking movie theater chains. Like, you're not too bright, are you? Like, this is where your books are sold. Maybe you should go, find out what this guy's beef is and maybe see if there's something to it. And then you have at least one comic pro, Mark Millar, who's basically saying, yeah, this guy's right. Like, you people are just morons. Like, the industry would be better off if you all, like, were on the Titanic or something.
Well, Titanic 2 will be coming around.
And the funny thing is, they're all, like, trying to berate him, and he's just like, guys, I make all my money from Netflix. Like, comics is just a side gig, and I'm still making more money at it than you guys are. Because he's just a significantly better comic creator. So, yeah. It's, it's drawing some attention across YouTube at the moment. But, no, the other guy's right. There's been problems for a long time. And everyone in the comics industry, one week they're like, everything's doing fine. The next week, these same people will literally be on will be on Twitter begging for money because like I can't afford a coffee today, kind of money. The
Yeah.
people working in the industry that's great, nothing's wrong, and they've got all kinds of work and all kinds of money.
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to think right now. When was the last great comic event? The one where people were invested in.
Secret Wars 2015 by Jonathan Hickman, the greatest thing Marvel's put out since like 2000.
I know you had Civil War 2.
Unfortunately, we did.
Yeah, I know. They're like, hey, Civil War did good. Let's.
Yeah, that wasn't that wasn't divisive or anything. Yeah, no one realized that there was a real lesson to take away from Civil War. Everyone at Marvel thought Iron Man was the one in the right.
With the registration.
Yeah, they didn't realize that like people reading the books were siding with Captain America, basically telling him, go screw off with this registration nonsense. Like we read the X-Men, we know where this all leads, which is why the X-Men, there's literally an issue where they're like, we warned you guys this was coming. We're staying here at the mansion. You guys fight it out.
Well, then Civil War 2 is more like Minority Report in the Marvel.
Yeah. Where yet again, I'm sure they're all puzzled why no one was siding with Carol Danvers on this one. Oddly enough, Iron Man was not siding with her this time. Got killed for it. That's where holographic Iron Man comes from. But yeah, there's major problems. I mean, I only read the X-Men. It's the one book that Marvel has like the green light to preach in because that's all the book's about basically. So I know it's coming in that book. Like that's fine because the book's literally like an allegory for like racial relations and everything. So I expect it to be a little heavy-handed there. But I also expect fights against space pirates, damn it, and the occasional baseball game. I've gotten all those things in the last 10 years, so I'm happy. So yeah, that's all I got on books. You guys got anything else?
No.
No one? You read anything else yet?
No.
He's getting some books for Christmas, so he'll have to.
Did you read that one book the guy said should be made into a movie instead of The Hunt for Red October?
Well, no, I haven't checked that out yet.
All right, that's one of the comments. You need to double check it. I suspect it's aimed more to you than to me, so.
I would suspect that much.
Yeah, because they're like, what's that gym guy on there for? He ain't doing anything. That's true.
All right, so in that case, we're on to gaming, where there's pretty much one bit of news, and it's what basically everyone's talking about in the gaming sphere at the moment. The fact Hasbro just laid off 1,100 some odd people, and turns out quite a few of them actually were from Wizards of the Coast. So,
whoops.
The big name being Mike Merles, but several of the other creative types got the axe. And I know before I continue, I just want to throw out there that I think, generally speaking, this whole move was just incredibly shitty on Hasbro's part. Because I'm sure that most of the people that got laid off have nothing to do with the problems that led to them thinking they need to lay these people off. Those people are all in the C-suite and are all still just fine. And could have done things like maybe taken a pay cut or any number of other things to have people not get fired. Now, on the flip side, I do want to throw out that while this news is breaking right now, most of these people are being told they're going to be laid off in 6 months. It's not that they're being fired right before Christmas. They're being told they're going to be fired right before Christmas, but they aren't going to be actually unemployed 2 weeks before Christmas for a number of them, as I understand it. So, as much as I despise this kind of move by Hasbro, it wasn't like ultra cold-hearted and like, 2 weeks before Christmas when everyone else has a hiring freeze? See you in hell. Show them the door. It's not quite that bad, but it's still bad. So, but yeah, so they've eliminated a lot of people. The guy at the top of the company, I believe his bonus was like several $1 million more this year than it was last year. And like I said, could have easily just been like, no, how about we don't do that, and let's not fire these people, like the president of Nintendo did when the Wii U didn't succeed. he took a pay cut so they wouldn't have to fire anybody. You know, that's loyalty. Now, what caused it? I read a few things, but it seems like the big thing is during COVID, sales increased dramatically in a lot of their areas. So they hired under the assumption that it was just going to continue forever, which it obviously was not and has not. And so because of that, they let a lot of people go. So yeah, that's a big part of it. But also, like, kids just aren't buying toys at the same rate. They switched to trying to capture the adult toy market, and to borrow a joke from someone else, no, not those adult toys. Uh, but so the kid market's shrinking. But that also ties into the other problem of, like, a lot of their lines are based on Disney products, and Disney has produced absolute crap for the last 2 years. So,
What? You're telling me Wish isn't a great movie?
Yeah, I haven't seen any Wish toys just flying off the shelves. In fact, I haven't seen very many Wish toys. So
I've seen quite a few at Walmart,
Yeah, they had a.
and they were all like still fully stocked.
where were they? Like,
One,
I literally haven't seen them.
well, they had a.
They had it was like a display.
I think there's like one Lego set, right?
There-
Two.
There's a I saw there's a couple in like some of the main toy aisles. There had like one display in one of the large
Just
aisles.
Jasper.
Yeah.
That's probably. So, yeah, you got that. You've got, well, like with Ahsoka, they said they were going to see how the show did before they made any actual real toys for it. There's the Black Series figures, but those are just because they're part of Star Wars. That's the whole reason. It's not because purely based on the fact there's a TV show. There's 2 Lego sets for Ahsoka. There's a handful of actual toys, but not very many. Not nearly the level of commitment that you see for other Star Wars projects.
Like the Mandalorian.
Like the Mandalorian, yeah. And
yes, the Grogu toys.
well, I mean, strike while the iron's hot,
A money printer. It just prints money.
Yep. Money printer go burr. But yeah, so that's you've got all these problems hitting all at once, and because it's an American privately held company, they there's no long term thinking whatsoever. It's all entirely what can we do next quarter? What can we do next quarter?
Yeah. Living on life support, trying to figure out things.
Yeah, and then it doesn't help that people figured out that, if we just don't buy these, they're going to wind up at Ollie's and Ross for like a third of the price in no time. Speaking of which, I found all kinds of toys at Ross the other day.
I was gonna say, as far as gaming goes, the only thing I had was I'll have to do a review on this. I bought for the Game Boy Advance Jurassic Park 3 Island Attack, which supposedly is, according to one YouTuber, the best representation of the best game based off of Jurassic Park 3. Now, does that mean anything? I don't know. It was enough that he put it on the list, so it interested me enough to buy it.
Yeah, the only gaming news I suppose I have is it ties into Bobby's is that apparently there was somebody who criticized Hasbro's move at the Video Game Awards for this year.
What'd they say?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know the specifics. I just the news story I saw.
Well, the thing is especially in a venue like that, it's a live thing, and they're like, like, what is this guy doing? He's going off the rails about something there, and that's the thing is that's a great place to do it because then people are, they're not going to edit it out. I mean, especially if it's live, it's like, whoops.
Well, it was during the Baldur's Gate 3 segment, obviously.
Oh, that was something. That was what part I was going to mention. A lot of the people that worked on Baldur's Gate 3 just got the axe from this too. Even though that was like the one shining bright spot in everything. That's part of the whole, like, this is just stupidly short-sighted. Like, cut the people at the top making the dumb decisions, not the people making the thing that's making you money.
Well, apparently somebody removed this little part of the speech after the fact.
Well, and the problem is that, like you said, people at the top, there are positions that are just ridiculous. I mean, things that don't, like, it'll be like like some sort of HR position for, like, employee satisfaction. And like, well, no, we got to keep that VP of that because that's it's like, well, no,
as if HR is actually there to help the employees.
but but like say a position like that, like yeah, it's important to have good employee health, but guess what? You can do that through their management, through the teams and stuff like that. You don't need somebody on there to be like, oh, I saw this thing that we could try. That it's like no, just if you want, if you want to know what your employees think, let them take a survey, and then figure out where you need to work and focus on. You don't need somebody that just that's all they do is make sure that they're happy.
Yeah. So, another random bit of gaming news. You see that E3 is basically done.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
I thought it died like a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen anything related to it since they used to have live coverage on G4 years and years ago. But yeah, apparently, like it's done. It's over with. That's it. No more consumer electronics show.
Right, so like, well, why do we need to have an actual physical location for this? We can just feature people online showing their stuff off. Yeah, you can't actually see the stuff working, but you know what? You just imagine that it's working. You know, imagine that this demo that we're doing is actually live and true and working for you.
Imagine these things in this commercial are actually in the game you're going to buy.
Yeah, well, heck, imagine that the game that you're buying is already complete.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, I just bought this game on, whatever. It's like, oh, I got a day one patch I have to install. That's like the entire game. That the CD is just the CD to tell you that you've actually purchased the game, and now
I was going to say, I think you're about to get to imagine actually buying the game.
I mean, like in the past, like if you bought a cartridge game, what are we going to do if like, oh, well, sorry, this game's not complete. You can't download an update. What do? Take your cartridge in and they have to load an update onto it? I mean, don't get me wrong, you did actually have virgin cartridges, but usually the cartridge that went out had to be somewhat functional, but then they would say, oh, missed in player testing that if you know, crouched 1,000 times in this one section, you could face the floor and make it to the end of the game in no time. So we're going to patch that out because who the hell would have thought about doing that?
Well, or they just don't patch that stuff out, which makes the speedruns fun to watch.
Well, don't get me wrong. I think the speedrun category where it's like where it's it's not a glitchless one where it's like okay, I can find a way that I can like phase through this wall and I can make it to the end. There's one for A Link to the Past where you can jump off a thing, pause and save it right at that time, restart the game, and immediately phase through the wall to make it to the end screen because the end screen's in the Hyrule Castle.
Yeah.
So you can just phase through the wall and go to the end screen and get the Triforce, be done. And it's like you can do it in like 10 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever. Like the amount of time it takes you to get to the castle, jump off the thing, pause and save the game, and then immediately restart the game back up, make it back to the castle, or you're in the castle or whatever. Go to this one section and just start running through the wall. Because some reason when you save it jumping off a ledge, like at that moment in time, like there's no collision. Like collision is turned off at that time, and when you save it, collision remains off, so you can just phase through the wall and then make it to the end.
Huh. Sounds like that one glitch in I want to say it's Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, where there's a mission where it involves you on a motorcycle and you got to get to the pier or something. But if you fail the mission, all the traffic in the game just stops. So basically, the game is ground to a halt. Well, then if you put in the I don't know what the code is to get everyone super pissed off and fighting you basically like turned it into zombie apocalypse mode because now the game, all the traffic is stopped and you're just fighting random people in the streets constantly, basically in the place of the zombies. So yeah.
I was thinking more of the one in Vice City where if you got the tank I'm gonna say the tank cheat, but I said the tank cheat that you could turn the gun backwards on it and fire, and if you went off like a bridge, the thing would just take flight, and you could start flying the tank. It may have been in combination with like the low gravity or something, but yeah.
Oh, I suppose there is one more bit of gaming news I have. Finally got a trailer for GTA 6. Only took them.
Well, it only took somebody leaking the footage or
Yeah.
leaking gameplay to be like, yeah, we're probably gonna put a trailer out so that that won't be a thing anymore. Which minded, I mean, that's probably the only real move you can do at that point.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because it's still going to be like 2025 when it's released.
Correct.
So.
Sorry, folks. Even though I told people what I was going to do, like 10 people trying to text me.
Where are you at? What are you doing?
No. They asked me a bunch of questions that need answers that I've actually got to think about for a minute.
And I think what else that we got here in the gaming world. I know Owen. I don't know if you were on here last time when we were talking about the.
Did I talk about the Ollie's finds?
No, we have not talked about the Ollie's finds.
Found the Dungeons and Dragons Warriors of Kryn, which is a Dragonlance board game that retails for $100. Found it for $10 at Ollie's. And in fact, whenever you're first, as long as you hear this before the end of the year, toys are 20% off, so you can actually get it for $8 if you really want to. To get it at 92% off retail price. I'll find out if the game's any good or not. I like Dragonlance, so I hope so. But yeah, those and these boxes of tiles, which I have several of now, so we're going to do an unboxing of those at some point. But those are normally retail at $50. Got those for $3. So yeah, got two more of them for like what would that be? $240 with the additional 20% off. So yeah, excellent. Normally $50. Got four of them for like $12. So yeah, there's those.
Was the cat getting sick? Wonderful. Well,
Wonderful.
I'm gonna go fix that real quick. Hey, thanks, cat. That's Gigi. Lovely. I'll step away for just a moment, and there she goes again. Wonderful.
I sure hope the mic doesn't pick this up.
Oh, that'd be great. That's the real magic there.
Oh, and you got anything else in gaming? Tile sets are any good? You want any?
Tile sets for what?
Those are dragons.
Maybe.
You DM occasionally?
I do DM occasionally. I think I'm getting a book of maps for Christmas, but I don't know.
Who told you that?
Nobody told me. I just an anonymous source.
Your grandma? Your Grammy?
No.
Well, anyway, they also have one set of creatures, but they're like 2D stand-ins. I think you put on like poker chips or something. They're also $3, but I didn't buy any of those. I've got plenty of three-dimensional miniatures, so should actually get some of those in tomorrow if the tracking is correct. But we'll find out tomorrow, I guess, because I ordered some of the Dragonlance miniatures from WizKids because it still had some of the promos. So bought what are they? Well, I bought the Dragon Queen army set, and also they're not Dragonborn. They're unique to Kryn. I can't think what the hell they're called. It'll come to me like somewhere in the next segment. But yeah, they're dragon people essentially, but they predate the Dragonborn by like, I don't know, my entire lifetime probably almost. Not quite that much, but somewhere back in the 80s. So, what are those guys called? Draconians. That's what they're called. So it's a Draconian warband.
I was leaning in front of you there.
So, Jim, anything else in gaming?
Well, nothing on my end really. I was not watching too much on any in the gaming front. Like I said about the one game. I don't know. I find fascination in the Jurassic Park games. Oh, Jurassic Park Survival trailer came out. Probably, people are like, it's been about the damn time though. They actually had a Jurassic Park survival horror game. it's still gonna be look like it's gonna be more of an action kind of platformer thing, or not a platformer, but it's supposedly taking place like the like the day after the first Jurassic Park movie.
Did you also miss the boat?
Yes, yes. Now there were some people that were comparing the main protagonist woman to Mia Khalifa, but
Maybe a Easter egg where you can find Dennis Nedry's body and the shaving cream can.
well, you do actually find that in Jurassic Park, the game by Telltale Games.
Oh yeah.
Yes, because they take place. They actually find the can and try to get it back. But at the end, if you do the correct ending, you pretty much let the can go.
Well, the can goes either way.
Yes, usually either eaten by the T Rex or stomped on by the T Rex.
Yeah. Well.
What's next?
Miscellaneous.
Well, next is streaming.
Oh no, not the streaming.
All right, and I put this here because I didn't know where else to put it. Any of you guys watch Doctor Who by any chance?
I
I saw it was on Disney Plus.
have no
Yes.
no intention to.
Well, for whatever it's worth, parts of the relaunch are good. If you go back to like Christopher Eccleston's run and uh, David Tennant, his first go around, we're going to be talking about his current second go around here in a moment, though.
Uh-oh.
His first go around was good, and that's about the point where I checked out. But the bits and pieces I've seen of Matt Smith and can't think of the guy after him, but the bits and pieces I've seen of theirs, they're good. I probably should have watched them. However, after the guy after Matt Smith, that's when things kind of just start going downhill like an avalanche. So, and no, it's not because a woman took over as Doctor Who. So, do you guys know anything about Doctor Who?
Oh, I know that the character change, and they have a definitive reason for the change. Like it's like why there's different iterations of the Doctor.
Yeah, it's because the first guy that played him got too old, so they need a way to change him to someone else. But yes, he's as a Time Lord. Whenever he dies, and whenever he's inflicted with a mortal injury, he regenerates, and his appearance and characterization, and everything change. He still has the memories of the previous ones, but he's essentially a new person. Okay.
So he's more like a I think what Jadzia Dax was, where they
Yes.
took the thing between each one that she remained. She maintained all of the previous host memories and whatever.
Right, but she was still like whenever Ezri came on board, yeah. She was not Jadzia, yeah, as Worf found out. So it's kind of like that. All right. So whenever David Tennant was the Doctor the first time, excuse me, a couple things happened. One, he was able to he was going to die and was able to like stave off the regeneration by dumping all the energy into his hand that had been cut off right whenever he first regenerated and turned into David Tennant. And because he was still like kind of regenerating, his hand grew back, but the other hand was still there and he just like held on to it until like the season finale. So they dumped all the energy into the hand and it created another him. But that one was human. Still had all of his memories and everything, but he was going to grow old and die. The Time Lords are immortal. And they're only supposed to have 12 regenerations, and under Matt Smith he was number 12. So they had to like basically break the rules to change into someone else later on. So then we fast forward to, I guess once Jodie Whittaker was done, she was the woman Doctor. I guess she turned back into David Tennant. I don't know what the story there is. I haven't watched the episode. I'd stopped watching the show for a while at that point. So, and again, it's not because of Jodie Whittaker. Like, the shape-shifting alien, of course he could turn into a woman. Like, why not? So, now, I guess David Tennant, his character underwent some other weird regeneration sequence where he, like, turned into two people. And the other guy's a black guy. David Tennant's still like David Tennant. So we have like the 14th and I guess 15th, if my numbering is correct here, Doctors at the same time. So, now again, shape-shifting alien, the fact he turns into a black guy, not a problem. But the fact that, like, the other is, like, the next regeneration, I guess, while he's still here, that's weird. So, because of this, one group of people are claiming the show has gone off the woke deep end by having first the lady doctor and now the black doctor, whereas the other side is claiming the show is racist because clearly the black doctor just liked the experiment and they just kept David Tennant as the backup in case he doesn't work out. They're clearly just going to phase him out and just go back to David Tennant. So they have managed to basically piss off everybody somehow. So, yeah, funny situation to be in, I guess, you know. Yeah. Oh, and apparently in a recent episode, Isaac Newton was, like, also a black guy.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, they weren't even trying to be like, oh, this is an alternate Earth, like, we wish things, were a little bit different or something. Like, no, this is the BBC talking about an Englishman in a show that's ostensibly, parts of it are supposed to try to teach historical things to children, because it's basically a children's show. And, like, yeah, Isaac Newton, we know damn good and well what he looked like. Randomly, black guy. So, oh, also, that's the point where David Tennant's doctor is also, like, kind of a cute guy, too. And, like, what are you driving at here, doctor?
Well,
like, all of your compatriots have been women up to this point. Are you trying to say that across thousands of years of existence, like, now you're just now finally discovering something about yourself? Like, I don't buy it.
Well, speaking of that, was watching Adam Savage's Tested, and they had the life or the death mask of Isaac Newton, and he was making a display case for it.
Oh, yeah?
Which all he had to work off of was a 3D scan of that, where he had to 3D print it and then make the case to fit it, and then while there had to make some modifications to finish fitting the mask in. So,
yeah,
kind of a weird way to bring that back around, but
yeah.
So we actually know what he looks like. The death mask.
Yeah. Not all the paintings.
Yeah, well,
So yeah, the whole doctor all of a sudden realizing he's also kind of into dudes, like I said this, I think I said this one time when I was talking about Apocalypse, the X-Men villain who's an immortal and a shapeshifter. Like, I get it, you're gonna live forever. You might try to experiment at some point, sure, but it wouldn't be like thousands of years into your existence. Like if you had that inkling, like you would have tried it by now. You would know for sure. You wouldn't be like, well, I don't know. I've been around for 4,500 years. May as well get a little crazy today. Like, no, that's just not how things work. Presumably, I mean, I'm not 4,500 years old, so I don't know for sure. But
well, let us know when you're 4,500 years old.
I will get right on that, Jim. Mark your calendars, folks. Christmas Day, Christmas week, in year 6,523. I'll let you know. Just replay this video.
No. The answer is no.
But yeah, so it's just... Well, so to compound things, everyone thought things were going to turn back for the better, because they brought back the guy who was the main writer during Tennant's original run, where there's actually all kinds of quality material. And all of a sudden, he's just like gone off the deep end on this stuff. To the point that Christopher Eccleston, who was the guy just before David Tennant, you know who Christopher Eccleston is? Destro in the live-action G.I. Joe movie.
Oh, yes.
The villain in Gone in 60 Seconds.
Yep.
And also
when it rains, it pours.
Also one of the villains in 28 Days Later, the army captain. So they asked him at something here last couple of weeks, like, would you come back to the show? And he initially just kind of laughed it off. They're like, no, we're serious. He's like, yeah, if they fire Russell T. Davies, and just like went down the list of everyone that's like the bigwigs on the show. He's like, yeah, they fire all them, sure, I'll come back. So he's clearly not a fan. But yeah, you guys get the chance though. Like Eccleston's run, Tennant's original run, and like I said, parts of Matt Smith and you got Capaldi. That's his name. That's good. I had stopped watching. That's why I didn't watch the Jodie Whittaker part. But apparently, the worst episode in the entire series was during her part, so I'm not going to watch it. But yeah. So also finished the show Lucifer. Pretty good. Interesting ending. Lucifer decided it was in fact his job to go back to running things in hell. However, he decided that his job was not to torture those people, but in fact to basically make them see the error of their ways and to kind of move on so they could go to heaven, basically. So, so an interesting ending. It involved like his daughter time traveling from the future and trying to figure out like why he was a colossal ass bag and never around while she was growing up while her mom was dying. And then once she dies, she willingly goes there to join him so he doesn't have to be alone forever. So yeah, it was good. A lot of closure for most of the characters.
Yeah, I can say as far as streaming, the only thing me and Owen have even watched recently of anything to watch is we watched a the playing through of Help Wanted 2, which is also Five Nights at Freddy's VR experience.
Oh,
Streaming. Any.
Seeing a guy try to the one streamer that we were watching, Astral Spiff. There's no way that he could look at the Twitch chat while he was streaming, so he taped a spatula to his VR headset and put a phone down onto the spatula so that he could look down, see the chat while he was playing the game, and he nicknamed it the Chatula.
that's pretty.
Let me think. Is there any interesting videos I've watched lately?
Well, I've watched. Like I said, a lot of times, like when I'm working, I watch a lot of Adam Savage Tested. It's usually just like him working on a piece of equipment in his shop. One was that he had a diamond watch lathe, so or watch lathe, which is a real small lathe, like tiny, and he made like a case for it. And I don't know why like I get into that because like normally people get into like him making props and making replicas and stuff, and I'm getting into like the shop updates, like where he's going to make something for another piece of equipment. And
I get it. I used to watch this old house occasionally to watch them building stuff. Like it's fascinating. I saw them actually like build a table for their shop one time, and just all the thought they put in all the little accessories they built into it and everything was pretty interesting.
yeah, I haven't. Yeah, and that's like the kind of the stuff I watch while I'm working in the background. It'll be playing and they'll be talking about something. Focus on that for a little bit.
I haven't personally watched it, but The Last of Us season 2 is coming out.
Well, I saw most of season one. Thought it's good. I expect people that don't know anything about the games are in for quite the surprise in season two. So we'll see.
Well, I haven't played the games, but
hope you don't plan on Joel like living to retirement. That's all I'm saying.
I haven't played the games, but I still think that wasn't a very good decision in the story.
I don't think many people, other than the guy who wrote it, think it's a good decision, from what I gathered.
Yeah. Anything on the miscellaneous front?
Oh, well, hang on, Jim. I watched like 4 of the movies.
4 other movies?
Yeah, I had a lot of free time last week.
Holy moly.
So, these are basically all kind of horror movies, surprisingly. So I watched, I think these are all on Netflix also. So I watched Killer Book Club, which was a Spanish movie that was translated. It was kind of interesting. This group of students are all like wannabe writers and fans of horror books and whatnot. One of them in the past is responsible for this girl killing her mom inadvertently. And so now like events begin to like pile up from that. This professor puts the moves on her. And so like they're like, hey, let's get him back. And so they all dress up as these kind of killer clown looking things. And they surprise him one night. And he ends up like toppling off of like the balcony. And there's a statue of, I'm assuming it's supposed to be Don Quixote. Got a big lance. Well, whoosh, right through the lance. And so they're all like, oh, we can't tell anyone about this. Well, what they don't realize is one of them like did all that intentionally to do that to him and set it all up. And that one is like in league with one of the others to kill all the other kids, but mainly to get to the one girl. So yeah, it's kind of all over the place. It was okay. I don't think it's the greatest movie I've ever seen, but it was decent. Then there was The Conference, which was, I believe, a German movie, also dubbed. So it's these people are going to this kind of getaway they are trying to build a new shopping center in this place, and as it progresses, you realize like they totally screwed over this farmer to get his land, and so the guy killed himself. Well, someone shows up and starts killing all of them. Well, it's the guy's son. It's mainly just kind of a somewhat gruesome slasher movie, but it was all right. I thought it was better than Killer Book Club. Then Choose or Die. I think this one was actually American originally. This girl starts playing this game. It's gets to the point in the game where it's either you choose or you're going to die, and the choices are usually like who else is going to die. And she gets to the final level, which is essentially takes her to this other guy's house who's also playing the game but stopped. And so it something about the game allows it to actually alter reality. Okay, so it gets to the point where it's coming down to him and her, but any injury she sustains, he takes, and vice versa. And so they both figure this out really quickly, and so they're literally attacking themselves to hurt the other one. And she's the one that figures out the ace move, grabs a statue, and jumps in the pool.
Drowns.
Yeah, well, he does. So yeah. Then turns out that the coding to the video game is literally cursed. The whole deal is all the bad shit you make other people feel. The more of that happens, the better things happen to you if you're the one that made it. And so the guy that made the game calls her and is like, "So you actually beat the game? Well, congratulations. What do you plan on doing now?" And she's like, "Well, we're going to use it. We're going to hurt people that actually deserve it." And he's like, "All right." So yeah, kind of interesting, kind of not. And then finally was Cadaver, which I think is supposed to be set during World War II, but they never said this. This is also like a Hungarian movie or something. So I've been all over the place on Netflix this week, and horror from all over the world. No good Korean zombie movies yet, though. No, they're a whole genre into themselves.
I know.
I just haven't had any good influx lately. So these people are starving in the streets, and this one group's like, "Hey, we're going to put on a show. Come over. There's free dinner and everything." So they get there, and well, it turns out the guy putting on the show is killing all these people, and feeding them to the next group.
Yeah.
And most of the other people there don't know that part. They think they're just robbing them and throwing them out in the street. And so at the end, they're several of them are quite sick because they're been doing this for a while, been eating people. So yeah, they turn on him. Last you see him is hanging up in the freezer, dead. So yeah.
For next week, for next day's chow.
Yeah. So that one was so. I don't know. Seemed like a lot of cheap thrills in that one. No real point to the plot. Probably wouldn't recommend it. It's competently made. It looks okay, but yeah, seemed better. So yeah,
okay.
I was in the middle of watching a movie before I came over, but I didn't get far enough into it to talk about it, so we're not going to.
Then we don't.
Save it for next time.
Yes.
Other than that, I've just been watching Leto's Law on YouTube. Some interesting stuff going on there. There always is, but this one is a civil asset forfeiture laws making their way through Congress, and sheriff's associations writing letters "No, don't get rid of these. We need these. These are important." And Steve Leto's "No, they're not. I'm a lawyer. I know for a fact you don't need these things to fight crime. You're just using it to buy stupid shit." So, we're not going to go down the road of what all that actually is because I don't want to go down the political quagmire, but let's just say I'm not a fan either. So, anyway, that's all I got for streaming. You guys good?
We're good.
All right. Zelanius?
Zelanius.
Any more videos of guy kissing uranium encasements?
No. I did watch one, though, was on Kyle Hill's channel as well, and I don't know if you've seen the latest one. It was was supposedly the first viral radiation meme incident where some guy was claiming that he had some cesium, and I don't remember what the number was, but where he played this whole thing out that he got radiation poisoning, he had to get a skin graft and all this stuff, and when he would take this container apart, the film grain would go, and it's well, yes, that has that, but that's not what the and just going through, um, how it became a meme. I guess there was a whole meme culture that supposedly he said he started, where people were drawing like anime girls doing the what is it?
Oh yes, the Demon Core.
Yeah, playing with the demon core. So they'd be like anime girl with
You
a
know,
screwdriver underneath the lid of the demon core.
because essentially, if you remove the screwdriver, like the nuclear process happens, which unleashes a burst of radiation.
Yeah, because if you drop the lid completely down, then it would go criticality event would happen, and 2 people died because of it. So that's why it's called the demon core. And yeah, some reason it became a meme where it's like anime girls with the screwdriver under the lid. You're supposed to actually put like spacers underneath it. But the guy got so whatever with it that he just used a screwdriver, and one day, whoop,
Yeah,
and he did.
that's what happens when you achieve critical mass. Not super critical mass. Super critical mass, something quite a bit more explosive occurs, but
Well, I mean, uh, I sometimes like to go on Wikipedia and just search up random historical events. I find some quite funny things,
Well, like I said,
like how Russians deal with hostage situations.
they don't.
you're talking about the movie theater incident or the theater incident?
There was the theater incident where, to solve the situation, they decided to pump fentanyl gas into the place.
Yes, what they originally claimed was knockout gas, until you realize there actually is no such thing as knockout gas. There's just not quite as lethal nerve gas.
No.
And by not quite as lethal, I mean it just doesn't kill everybody.
There's also the Russian school siege, where to solve that, they decided to fire at the school with, what was it, BTRs, and also a tank.
Well,
Also using grenades and flamethrowers.
I mean, that's terrible, but
I mean,
you don't see a lot of hostage situations in Russia.
well, I mean, they ended the hostage situation. You can't have a hostage situation if you have no hostages.
Well, I mean, in the theater incident, once everyone was out, they just went through and shot all the terrorists in the face. Like, there's no trial. Like, they just shot them.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at that point, I mean, you're kind of guilty.
I did I did I say that's the wrong thing to do?
No.
I mean, as long as you know for sure which ones are which, like. I mean, you want to get super technical. They're non-uniformed enemy combatants. Like, the Geneva Convention does not apply to them. So,
Yeah.
like the people that wrote that very specifically only said uniformed armed forces for a reason, because everyone knows, like, it's meant to be a counter to spies. Because you catch a spy, you can basically torture them to death.
Well, because the one thing is that they're not uniformed. They're not wearing their nationality. It's weird because it's also like the maritime one where, in maritime war, you can't fire upon a ship with a false flag. So you'll see these stories where it's like, oh, they'll be flying. You can fly a false flag all you want, but before you start firing,
you got
to lower down and raise up your flag.
Sir, they're moving their flags. I think they intend on firing. Why do you say that, Johnson? Just speculation, sir.
Now the question is, though, can you fire upon them before they raise their flag up?
I would think you could the moment it's on, like, the cord where clearly, like, it's going up. I would think, but also, I mean, let's be real here for a moment.
I don't think the Germans did that.
If there's no one left, like, who's going to complain?
I know there was
and also most ships don't have masts anymore that raise or lower a flag.
Well, they still have to fly the flags.
Yeah,
but
because as a ship, just in case if there was ever a mechanical malfunction in your communication equipment, you still have to be able to identify them from a distance. So they have to have country of origin flag flying. Now, the Germans, what they would do is they would take cargo ships and have hidden doors on them, and they would be flying a false flag. And then if they were to get in close proximity, they would hurry up and raise their flag, drop these panels down, and I don't remember. I think it was a French ship. It was, I think, like a cruiser or whatever. But they were able to sink it because the cruiser got, in a time where they knew that there were merchant ships that were used like this, got within very, very close range, and even the small guns that this cargo ship had was enough to sink it. But very interesting, though. Yes, yes.
So there's your history lesson for the day.
Yep. Well, it's interesting. I mean, I just think it's hilarious. Now, like I said, I don't know that everybody would do that because in a time of war, you don't really care. It's like you'd rather survive.
Yeah, I mean that's
to your point,
that's like as I understand it. Technically, you know how like an M1 Abrams tank has the M60 machine gun mounted on the top. You know what that's actually technically supposed to be for? That's supposed to be for like non-tank vehicles. That's not supposed to be an anti-infantry weapon.
That's exactly what it's would be used for.
Yeah, I mean if you're surrounded, like, and somehow you can't move, then yeah, that's probably what you're gonna end up using it for. But like, you could also technically be charged with, like war crimes or something like that. So you know, in the BattleTech universe, basically everyone's a war criminal. Like there are certain battle mechs that like based on what I just told you, there's a battle mech called the Piranha. All it has is machine guns. Machine guns don't do jack to another battle mech. What do you think it's used for? You know, that thing and the fire starter are both walking war crimes.
Geneva Convention, more like the Geneva Checklist.
Well,
in BattleTech, pretty much.
Well, yeah. But the thing is that who's going to report you if there's nobody left to report?
Yep.
What happened to those people? I don't know.
I mean, it's a little more difficult to get away with using nukes in BattleTech because the radiation, but they do still have them because in BattleTech there are two different kinds. There's kind of like we use that will leave radiation for 50 years, and then there's like the laser initiated fusion weapons that won't leave radiation for a long time, and it's a fairly small blast, but whatever's caught in it is totally destroyed. They're basically like grenades from X.
Or they haven't done the Hammer of God yet.
Well, I mean, there's other like super weapons. During the Amorous coup, they turned, I think it was a heat shield or something they were using to try to terraform Venus into like a massive laser weapon and try to fend off the Star League once it got to Earth. Which all it really succeeded in doing was making sure that Venus never finally got terraformed, and now it's back to basically where it was because they don't have the technology to attempt to rebuild that thing. So
I'm just glad that in G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra, that Destro decided just to use the Hammer of God on England, I believe.
Zartan.
Or Zartan, sorry, yes, yeah.
Like, so for the few of you that watched the first movie, remember Zartan was the president. And like they just ran with that. Like they're at the end, it's like, well, I've just fired all of our nukes. And they're like, what? It's like, yep, they're incoming. Do your thing, boys. And everyone's like, okay, we'll disarm. Like, all right, well, now that you've all disarmed, I've got this other super weapon. And like, oh. And we'll use England because we destroyed Paris with the thing in the last movie, so here goes.
Tungsten rod. Dropped it from space. Mm-hmm. Which is nice for, if you want to be able to reuse the land that it hits. There's no radiation.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a giant crater.
The topography might be a little different. But...
Well, we've got to know a lake where England used to be.
Yeah.
But it's all been... Yeah, I was just kind of surprised that they went with that. They was like, yeah, it's gone. G.I. Joe's didn't stop that. I mean, yeah, you had The Rock come in with a tank.
Yeah, I still think that they just need to... Whenever they inevitably try to go back to those movies, I'd set them back during the 80s and just embrace the crazy from the cartoon.
Fire their guns in the air as they run into battle.
Well, no. I mean, they should actually hit each other. But stick with the lasers so there's no blood. So you can have a lot of people get shot. Like the opening sequence of Terminator 2. And just replace the Terminators with Cobra Bats and you pretty much got it.
Well, I like the scene in the first Terminator where Arnold's going into the gun shop asking for like the different, so he asks for like the normal weapons and he's like wants
the phase plasma rifle in the 40-watt range. Yeah, just what you see here, pal. You can't do that. Wrong.
Yes, he just starts loading the gun right there on the counter. Like you got first of all, what guy would sit there and put the gun on the counter and then the shells for it right next to it?
Well, I mean, yeah, but also, did you notice the other weapons he was buying? You can tell this movie is before 1986.
Because he bought a Uzi.
Yeah. He was buying fully automatic weapons at a gun store. Like, you could legally do that before that point. Yeah, those 80s movies where everyone's running around with automatic weapons, like, they probably just bought those at the gun store. And that was in California.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
That's all that I've got on things. I know that I think you've got another video or two that you want to record, right?
Yes. Yeah,
So-
some book reviews and
Well,
opening.
It's fine that we keep this short because I think, over the holidays we'll probably get a plethora of items to go over. Maybe I need to introduce Owen to the greatest Christmas movie ever,
It's in theaters right now.
Die Hard.
Yes.
Hmm.
We should go to Vincent's and watch it this week.
Maybe.
Or down to Evansville. Either one.
There's a lot of movies I need to watch.
Yes.
Well, this one's on the top of the list right now.
'Cause-
Unlike Hans Gruber, who'll be at the bottom of the building.
Yes. I still want to order the Hans Gruber Advent calendar.
I saw one of those online after you told me about that. It's like that. Yeah.
Where he has the 25 days of him falling off the building. The 25th days on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised when I was looking up the movie times there for Evansville. I was like, so I see the Evansville movie theater chains have decided that the answer to is Die Hard a Christmas movie is a definitive yes. So
Well, and I think it at least takes place on Christmas, so you could say it is. I think it's different when a movie takes place with Christmas in it. Like say, like they're doing a montage and Christmas happens.
To have something be a Christmas something has to not only take place like around Christmas, but has to have elements of Christmas in it.
Well, you got both.
Either in the themes, in the setting, Christmas trees, Christmas. Have it be
It was a Christmas party.
it was
a Christmas.
several uses of ho ho ho,
Yes.
especially once John gets a machine gun. But no, because I don't consider the second one a Christmas movie, and it takes place on Christmas. It's one of those like it just happens to take place on Christmas. Like there's that's barely an element to the movie. Or like Prometheus, that takes place on Christmas, but like it's definitely not a Christmas movie. Although we do see the birth of a new thing at the end.
Well, that's like
Seen it more if you haven't seen it.
well, that's like planes, trains, and automobiles. People think it's a Christmas movie. It's
It's actually
actually
a Thanksgiving movie, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Although I consider it, although it may as well be a Christmas movie.
It's about getting home for the holidays.
Yeah, and I mean, like most of the areas are snow covered. It's a winter storm, but it's because it's in the upper plains there. So
Hell, I don't even know if we're gonna have anything close. I mean, supposedly we're gonna get some colder weather coming in, but I mean, hell, it was mid-50s this week, and
yeah,
it definitely did not feel like you were getting ready to go into Christmas. So
no. Cooled off today though. Like as the day went on, it was colder when I left work than when I went into work.
yeah.
So
Well, it's fine if this is a little bit shorter episode because, like I said, then maybe we'll actually have some people to sit through the end. And unfortunately, or fortunately for us, but unfortunately for the people watching, we've not had any cats come in and destroy the camera equipment.
Yeah. No, so like we said at the beginning, probably won't be an episode next, like Christmas, the week of Christmas, barring somehow we all have time, but I don't see that happening. So maybe whenever we come back, we'll talk about how everything went over Christmas. It'll be a topic of discussion. Anyway.
Yeah, probably stuff maybe we picked up or got for Christmas if it's relevant to the things at hand here.
Yeah, well, I anticipate most of what I get will be, except from the relatives who don't think to ask what I want or would like and just kind of buy something.
Yeah.
Like, I shouldn't be critical of that.
It's a
it's
thought.
a thought that counts. I do appreciate that they buy anything at all, like, or make or whatever, like, I appreciate what they give me. But just every time, like, there's got to be an efficient way to, like, just create a list for people to see.
Amazon.
And be like, if you need, well, it needs to be beyond stuff you can buy on Amazon, though. I've actually been thinking about this from, like, an app standpoint. Like, say it's like you and, like, 5 of your friends. You'd each buy someone something.
Like a wish list app that happens to tie into other applications.
Well, maybe, but also so that once you make the list, you can't alter it, and you can't see it, so you don't know if someone's bought something or who bought it.
And if they buy something on it, it takes it off the list or marks
Yes.
it.
So I know there's a way to do all that.
A wish list sharing app.
Kind of, yeah. So whoever inevitably steals that idea,
Credit us.
credit us, and also,
At least give us the app for free.
yeah, and also if you somehow can find my copy of Mortal Kombat 9 for the Xbox
I
360.
thought it was 10.
It may be 10, I don't know. But if you've got it, or you know who does.
This is an ongoing theme, by the way, Owen. We've done this before in other ones where it's like, if you know where my copy of...
Well, I'm just saying, if someone like pieces all that together and makes that app, maybe they can like trace who has my game. I don't know.
Well, at some point, I want to say if we get enough, people watching this, I want to see about setting up a PO box. Is maybe that's the way they can ship your copy of Mortal Kombat back to your PO box.
Yeah.
At least that way they can keep it anonymous. They're like, I don't want to give it back because you'll know that I'm the one that kept it.
No, it's like 2 people. Like maybe 3. Like I should just call them out.
And it's not me. It's not many video.
No, it's not. It's not you. It's not you.
I think, depending. I'm trying to think what the newest version of Mortal Kombat I have. I know I've got like Deadly Alliance, which is.
Yeah, no, I had, this is the first one that brought in the X-ray moves and just just the incredible over the top violence that the series already had, but they were like, let's go higher.
And then they just didn't stop.
Well, it's also probably where they brought in like where you can crush people's testicles as a nut punch.
Yeah, things like that.
Yeah, now we're on the Mortal Kombat 1 again.
Yeah, I just for the record, I'm not a fan of that whole naming scheme where like they did that, Xbox did that. Or Fast and the Furious can't decide if they're going to go for numbers or letters or like subtitles. Or like number 5, they just called Fast and Furious again.
I did like the fact that they called the second one Too Fast, Too Furious.
That at least had some numbers. I at least know where we're going with that.
Yeah. And
then you have Tokyo Drift, and I'm like, I know it's the third one because there's only 3 so far, but now we're like on number 10. Yeah. So now I don't know anymore.
Well, now we're moving on to 11.
Yeah, I know.
They're going to make another one.
They're going to keep CGI and Paul Walker into movies and
Vin Diesel.
Well, Vin Diesel's still around. Paul Walker is not.
Oh.
No, Paul Walker.
Too Fast, Too Serious.
Yes, died in a car wreck. Not him driving though either. It was his friend driving. His friend also died. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I get why they did it for like one of the movies because they got like one of Paul Walker's brothers to actually be the template for.
Yeah, well, it wasn't the one right after he died, and kind of like a farewell kind of thing.
Yeah, and like that made perfect sense. Like I
didn't see it personally, but that's what I understand. Kind of like with Egon and Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Yeah. And I thought they did like both those looked like they were tastefully done. I mean, Egon especially was. I thought,
I forgot Ghostbusters Frozen Empire.
Yeah, we got the trailer for that. We talked about it in one episode.
Did you see that? That trailer, speaking of which, of the movie where it's like a book writer's writing a story, but the story is actually true.
Is it Argyle?
Yes.
Yeah.
That looks interesting. I don't know if it's gonna be a good movie, but it looks interesting.
Yeah.
It's an interesting premise, and I don't know if it's an original premise, but it looks.
I did see an article about the upcoming Ghostbusters movie, and it had a picture from Ghostbusters 2 with Slimer, where he's there in the firehouse eating the food, and like Rick Moranis walks up to him. Mm-hmm. The article's like, popular Ghostbusters character confirmed to be coming back, and I'm like, all right, Rick Moranis. It's like, no, it's Slimer. Even at the end of the article, the guy was like, yeah, I also wish it was Rick Moranis. And I was like, you son of a bitch.
And again, like I totally get Rick Moranis not going back. I mean, I respect his. He took over being a father because I believe.
I mean, I'm still like. They haven't said he's not in it, so I'm still hopeful that they did get him to come back.
But no, I was watching just
even if it's literally just like for a 5-minute cameo.
I mean
5-second cameo.
Yeah,
and I've said before, I'm perfectly fine if they bring the female characters from the ladies Ghostbusters movie in as cameos. I'm totally okay with that. Because as much as I hear the movie's terrible, it is also kind of awful that they just like totally ignore that movie even exists. Like that's not in the collections or anything, but it is still part of the franchise. Like, for that reason alone, I wouldn't care if they brought them in as cameos, not necessarily as their other characters, or maybe as their other characters. But anyway, we're well into rambling territory now.
Yes.
So,
all right, well, then I guess we can end this meeting of the Geek Cabal, and this will be the
convene the meeting
convenient for the. Maybe for the entirety of 2023. So we'll see. We'll see if something comes up where we can actually film again. But if not, obviously, we wish everybody happy holidays, Merry Christmas, like I said, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, all of the holidays that I don't know that happen this time of year. I guess, Jim, on that note,
sorry I had to bring this back to actually talking about something. If we do film next week, the Monday after would be New Year's Day. Would we want to stick to the schedule, or depending on what we're talking about, do we want to have the last episode actually be in this year when we release it?
Yeah, I don't want to try to.
So depending on when we actually get back together, the next episode might not follow the trend of normally being on a Monday because it's New Year's Day. It might actually be either before or right before or right after. So just throwing that out there.
Yes, maybe
we'll just have to see what shakes down. So.
Yeah, depending on how awake I am after New Year's.
Sign up for Facebook and Twitter so you'll know whenever we announce it.
Yeah. But yeah, and I say besides that, yeah, I mean, obviously, if we don't come back before the New Year, wish everybody a Happy New Year, and
if we didn't drop off the face of the earth, we will be back.
We will be back.
Alrighty, well, folks, happy holidays, and hope you get your heart's desire for whatever gift-giving holiday you have.
Yes.
Assuming you have one.
And if you don't, then,
you should start one.
Yes. Yeah, so just make something up. Who cares? Get some gifts. Have some fun.
Find some pastafarians, they'll be down.
Yes, and their spaghetti monster?
Yes, and the colander of truth, or whatever the hell it is.
Yes. All right. See you later.
See you later.